भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ।
Dear friends, welcome back to the study of the Mundaka Upanishad. And we have, during our last discourse, completed the study of the 2/3 of the whole Upanishad. The Mundaka Upanishad had 3 Mundakas. Mundaka means razor-sharp wisdom which will cut through the wheel of ignorance. And he has divided into 3 chapters. Please bear with me. I crave your indulgence and pardon. Let me give you a bird's eye view of the first 2/3 of the whole Upanishad that we have studied through months together. It is always better to have a bird's eye view to highlight how methodical, how rationally convincing the procedure is. Whenever we talk about Upanishads, a fright takes hold of us. Oh, it is beyond our understanding. Oh, it is meant for highly educated people, the Swamis and Sannyasis who have nothing to do with the world. It is meant for them. I'm afraid we cannot be more away from truth than this idea. Swami Vivekananda ji said that I'll be extremely happy to see that the mothers of the household and each every member reads it as a fictional tale with that much of interest, attention and understanding. I'll be happy then. That is, the ideas of the Upanishad prevails the whole society. That is why he tried his very best to give to us the essential teachings of Upanishad and at the same time taking away the scare that is built up around the word Upanishads. As you know, Upanishad means a basket full of ideas conveyed by well-chosen, well-organized words, Shabda Rashi. The words always emit a meaning. It explodes into an idea. The Upanishad, on the face of it, is a Shabda Rashi, heaps and heaps of words. That's the first thing. Upa means coming close to which. Closeness means acceptance, absorption, assimilation. These words, which explodes or emits a meaning, if you expose yourself to these ideas emanating from the words that you study, Nisheshena Upa is samipya, closeness, proximity, absorption, assimilation of the ideas. Ni means in totality, without any residue left, without anything left behind, in totality. What will happen? the ignorance about your own true original nature will be totally destroyed, washed out, wiped out from your understanding. That's the meaning of the word Upanishad. It's a basket full of ideas, heaps of ideas, generating from lots and lots of words properly arranged, and they emit or they explode into a meaning, and meaning are ideas. If you expose yourself to those ideas with a receptive, assimilative, absorbent tendency, then that will help you to wipe away forever, never to return again without a trace left behind. The ignorance about your true self will disappear. That is the meaning of the word Upanishad. Mundaka means a razor by which you do perform your mundana. You shave it. So Mundaka is the cause of shaving, that is a razor. The wisdom emanating from the study of this Upanishad is as sharp as a razor which will cut asunder your ignorance of your true original nature. This is the meaning of the word Mundaka Upanishad. How does it start? Firstly, we must understand this wisdom that is emanating from the study of these words, Shabdarashi, which emits and explodes into a meaning, they are not the figment of imagination of a human. A human as a human is never perfect. It is full of faults and failures, frolics and frailties. So, it will be full of faults and failures. So what is the authenticity? What is the authority that you, teacher, you are trying to din into our ears that you should study the Mundaka? Why should I? It's a figment of imagination of some brainy person. To avoid that misunderstanding to start with, to induce you to study the Upanishad, the first idea that the Upanishad places before you is, my dear students, my dear readers of this Upanishad, please be ascertained. This is the wisdom of God which has been handed over to you through generations and generations. And as you know, the oldest Upanishad may be 10,000 years old, much before Christ, and this very Upanishad, which is supposed the latest in the line, this is about 5,000 years, that is nearly 3,000 years before Christ. 3,000 years BC, not AD. So this is the latest of the Upanishads. And it is razor sharp. Why it is so? If you read the language is very close based on that type of Sanskrit which is guided by Panini's grammar. Whereas Vedic grammar, the Vedas, are written in a different grammar style known as Pratishaksha grammar. So when we read the Upanishads, if you have a smattering knowledge of Sanskrit, you'll be able to understand. Whereas you will not be able to understand the mantras of the Rig Vedas, the most ancient, which are structured according to that type of grammar, the Vedic grammar known as Pratishaksha grammar. This is close to Panini's grammar. So language is very comfortable to us, the modern man, and the wisdom of this Upanishad has come down from the divine himself. God passed on to his children generation after generation. The third point is, when all this was discussed in our civilized society, spiritually civilized society, there was no printing press. What happened? The teacher used to teach from the memory which he gathered from his teacher. And he taught to his student and asked him to memorize it. Therefore, to reduce the burden on your memory, it is very cryptic, very short, very suggestive, and that is how it can be interpreted in various ways. That room is left there. I will understand it according to my sanskara, you will understand it according to your sanskara, he will understand it according to his sanskara. But the words are so chosen that you have no escape but to come to the goal. What is that goal? Equating this egocentric self with the divine self. You are the divine. That is the main theme of all Upanishads. You are the divine, whether you know it or not, whether you experience it or not. It is an axiomatic truth that if you educate yourself, if you culture yourself, if you teach and train yourself with discipline, then you will evolve from an egocentric human personality and ultimately you will merge with the Absolute. This is the subject matter of this Upanishad, and the wisdom has come from God himself. Don't think it is a fantasy of a human imaginative brain. The authenticity and the authority is first established in the first shloka. The next point is, how do you continue to say you are the divine when I am totally enmeshed in this world and I know it is real? Why is it real? It is perceptible by my 5 sense organs. Therefore, it is real to me. To make you understand that the world is not real, you must study what the world is. You must know for yourself what it is, and then you find out whether it is real, whether it appears to be real, and whether it is transitory, changing every moment. Changeful. Shanikam. It's like a flow of the river. The river is the time. It changes in flow of time. That which is changing every moment cannot be eternal. So, the teacher, he starts teaching. To whom? A Mahashala Angirasha, a Mahashala Shaunaka. Angirasha is a teacher, Rishi, and Shaunaka is a student, a worldly man who becomes a Rishi later on. By knowing the truth, experience the reality behind the appearance. the Upanishad starts in this manner. That Shaunaka, who is a highly successful, well-attained person in this world, well-accomplished, well-attained, a worldly person. What does it mean? He is a successful man in this world. Even having achieved everything, just because he keeps his power observation and capacity to analyze upfront, he sees that whatever I hold on to stays with me for a while but moves out of me. And there's an endless thirst to know what is it. I can't understand what is this world is. It is sometimes this, sometimes that. Why? Change has taken place. With this as a background of that time's social culture, when they were not so much interested in share market and industrial values, they were interested in this. What is this world? Who am I? What I am doing here? And I'm tired of this unending farce, ever changing, never stable. Is there anything stable which is beyond my understanding now? Is there anybody who will tell me? So he knows a rishi is a knower of self, a realizer of truth. So he finds out a Rishi Angirasha in this area. He goes to him and asks him, "Dear Lord, my teacher, is there anything knowing which I will be totally satiated and satisfied? There will be no thirst left in me of knowing further because I have known the reality behind this appearance." Is there anything like that? He has heard from Janashruti. That was the talk of the society at that time. Atma Vidya, Atma Jnana, Brahma Vidya, Brahma Jnana, and so on and so forth. He has heard those ideas, but he doesn't know what he means. So he, without mincing words, he goes to his teacher and tells him, "Could you tell me something, teach me something, learning which the thirst of knowing and learning what and how, when and where will stop forever." That is how, in a dramatic fashion, the Upanishad starts. The teacher, being a teacher, meaning 100% the welfare of the student, he doesn't mince matters. He knows he must know the world and the movement of the world, the way we live in this world. He must know everything that is possible to be known of this world. Then only he will develop that introspection to see that the world appears to be real, but it is not real, it is ever changeful. Without the true knowledge of the world, you will not be able to develop that vairagya, that viveka, that shat-sampatti, by means of which you basically qualify to be student of Brahma Vidya. So he says, "My dear child, there are two branches of knowing, learning, education, Aparavidya and Paravidya. Why Aparavidya is necessary? Why is it indispensable? Why should I waste my time and energy in knowing what the world is? Because when you know it, then you will know it is absolutely an appearance. There's no reality behind it. Then only you will try to know what is behind this apparent world. This is the sequence, dear. So don't try and think that you can jump into Brahma Vidya without knowing how the world is and who am I as a victim of this, a member of this world. That is why he says, my dear child, 2 branches of learning is required. One is the worldly learning. Rig Veda, Shama Veda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda, Shiksha, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Jyotisham, iti. The 6 Vedangas, ancillary studies, and the Vedic study. They tell you how to lead a life, rotating around the awareness of the divine from morning till when you go to bed. Right from the time you wake up, you go to bed. Your life is well designed, well planned, well sorted, and you are always aware, rotating around the awareness of presence of God, and it has been ritualized, yaga, yajna, purasharana, brata, havana, and etc., 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 etc. He describes all that. At the same time, he describes that God does not need any other help to create and permeate the whole world. And he first gives an example of a spider. How the human body spontaneously develops a hair, and how the earth spontaneously develops herbs and plants all by itself, and they decay, degenerate there. Thereby, you do not need a second entity to prove this world. One spider is enough. It spins its own web from its own being. He doesn't go to the supermarket to buy threads to spin its web. Why does he say so? He wants to cut at the root of the concept of duality. There are many philosophies which says there is God and there is Satan. Both of them are perennial. Goodness and evil, according to Zoroaster, that is according to Persian philosophy, Zoroastrian philosophy, goodness and evil. Christian philosophy, God and the devil or the Satan. In Dvaita philosophy, Papa and Punya and all that. In Advaita philosophy, it is only that which cannot be described as one, because if I say one, it preconditions the supposition of two. It is relative. You can't conceive of one without conception of two. That is why it is said, non-dual, na-dvaita, advaitavad. He describes all that it is. And after describing, he says, while doing these performances ritually, a person clarifies his understanding. And he says, it is an infallible logic. Whatever punya, good deed, that I create by my good activities, yaga, yajna, Vedic, karma, and etc., 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 they produce a result. The result is a product of this activity. that which is produced in time, will disappear in time. So right from my studenthood to my death, I am following this pattern. I will enjoy the fruits of these good deeds when I go to heaven. But it is living on my fat bank balance, and I keep on withdrawing without crediting anything. And a time will come it will be exhausted. So my whole life goes away in pursuance of something which is perishable. Parikshalokan karmachitana brahmano nirvedamayat nasti akrita kritena. He realizes this while living in this world, while performing his Vedic duties and etc., and while he is constantly aware of the divine and he is pleasing the divine by leading a life which gives him that product, punna karma phala, and he goes to heaven, and when it is exhausted, shine punne martalokam vishanti. When that is exhausted, he is born back again. All his life's endeavor only gives him a happy, enjoyable life in the heavens. He is not satisfied. Well, I spend so much of my time, my life, my energy, my whole life, and this is what I get. No. I will try to find out something which is everlasting. This shloka is a turning point. You start as a worldly man, you keep your eyes and ears open, don't miss or don't compromise with your introspective attitude, and a time will come, you will realize this is a futile pursuit. So, you have qualified yourself for Paravidya Vishaya. Having gone through this experience, either in this life or in previous life, you come up to this. Enough is enough. I will not look into it. I will look into such a type of education which will help me to eternal life in heaven. That's how it is figuratively described in Christian sciences. I would like to lead a life with God in such a manner that I enjoy eternal life in heaven. That is a fallacy. But I can enjoy eternal life by being one with the divine. That is the distinction between the concept of Advaita philosophy and all Dvaita philosophy. Whatever it may be, you have now graduated into understanding what is the reality behind this apparent world, which is full of promises, but it cannot deliver those promises in an eternal manner. It is all transitory. So the Mundaka migrates. I'm trying to highlight it is not an irrelevant cock and bull fairy tale, cock and bull story. It moves in a very, very rational, intellectual, critical, synthesized manner. So you have now asked the question, is there anything better than this, which will give me eternal peace and tranquility, joy and ecstasy, where I know my true original nature, Sridharananda Rupoham, Shivoham, Shivoham, that is what I am. The second Mundaka starts. Again with an example of burning fire. In a burning fire, if you blow it, or if the wind is blowing, you will find thousands and thousands of sparks emanating from that blazing fire. The blazing fire and the sparks of that blazing fire. Qualitatively, both are fires. Quantitatively, it is huge, infinite, compared to the finiteness of a spark. But qualitatively, though both have the capacity to burn, it burns down an habitation in a twinkling of an eye, and this burns a hole in your shirt sleeve. Both of them are fires, but there is a difference in quantity. Quantity of wisdom, knowing, understanding. I am a jiva, a spark, and my true original is Satchidananda Swarupa, Shiva. This is how the second chapter starts. And slowly and slowly and slowly, he brings you to the end of the chapter, where as far as is possible, by that concept of tatastha lakshana. Remember, I do not see this creek down below the valley, and I've lost my way. A passenger, a traveler coming by that walkway, I stop him and ask him, I want to go to this village of mine, which is my destination. I am told on my books, on my atlas and my map, that there is a creek between these two places where I am standing and where my destination is. But I don't see anything. Could you help me? He looks around and identifies a very tall tree. As because he has traveled that way, he knows every inch of the way. He says, you see the tall tree? Now you start from the tip of the tree, top of the tree. Imagine it comes down straight. The trunk strikes the soil. That is where the trunk starts from. And just by side of it, the creek flows. I don't see the creek, but indirectly, symbolically, he has explained to me in such a manner that I keep my eye on the top of the tree and I follow it, follow it, follow it. I'll go to the trunk of the tree from where it has broken the soil, and next to it I see that creek, which is a dividing line between my village and myself. I cross the flat and reach my village. I don't see the creek, but I am convinced by that suggestive explanation, suggestive description that there is a creek. I know there is a creek from my map. Now I can go. I know I am Satchidananda Swarup, but I don't know how to reach there. The third Mundaka, which is our subject matter of study, the third Mundaka teaches you the procedure, the methodology, the technique of how you educate yourself with Paravidya. Paravidya Vishaya has been explained to you in the previous chapter, second khanda of the second Mundaka. Hiranmaye pare koshe virajam vasmanichalam. And all that we have been studying is very in-depth. You know now. Now the third Mundaka will teach you how to reach that goal. What is the method of education that you have to follow by means of which you will reach that goal? So, This is how we have reached to the end of the second chapter, and today we start on the third Mundaka, the first section or first chapter of the third Mundaka. Sequentially, this is the 45th. This is the 45th shloka and first shloka of Prathama Khanda of the third Mundaka, the first section of the third Mundaka. In the introduction of this chapter, the Rishi tells you that, look, I have already explained to you what is Aparavidya, all the branches of knowledge that helps you to understand and after understanding manage the forces of nature at play in this cosmos. That is Apara Vidya Vishaya. It is endless. You cannot catch up on your shadow. It will always be away from you. But Paravidya has an end. What is that? Paravidya is that knowledge which helps you to be and become one with the Absolute. What does it mean? Don't be carried away by all these cliches. These 1,000 times repeated words. Paravidya Vishaya is the Vishaya is subject matter of this learning, this education, which teaches you what is the sublime, eternal, infinite, immutable, absolute. Desha, Kala, Nimitta. Desha is space, Kala is time, Nimitta is the cause and effect. Karja, Karana, Sambandha. It is immutable. It is beyond that Sambandha. It is beyond time, beyond space, beyond causation. Therefore, it is absolute. Indefinable, indescribable, but achievable, attainable, experienceable. Now he is telling you how to put into practice in your day-to-day life, how you can correct the attitudinal incorrectness of which you suffer. What is that attitudinal incorrectness? I believe, I am convinced, I am this body-mind complex. It's an honest statement. All of us believe so. Let us not be hypocritical. I know I am this body-mind complex. You know I am this body. Oh, the Upanishads say so, the Gita says so, all the scriptures say so. They say soul is immortal and this and this. I've heard all that. But as far as my conviction generated by my own experience is concerned, I know I am this body-mind complex. This is an incorrect attitude which I have accepted as real. This is my starting point. The whole of the third Mundaka will start teaching you how to correct your attitude. Attitudinal correction. That I am not this mind. I am not this life force. I am not these emotions. I am not this rational conclusion. I am not this ego separated in a bubble. That bubble has to be pricked and I become one with the whole cosmos. How do I do that? The third chapter teaches you how do you go about it. This is the subject matter of today's study, and this subject will continue in 2 chapters. One is the procedure and the other is achievement, and what happens after you achieve. And after you achieve, you are bound by a sense of duty out of sheer compassion. I alone should enjoy this. Why don't I help my brothers to enjoy the same? Without any personal axe to grind, your compassion being one with the whole universe and comparing, I was this, I have become that. And what a joy! Sridharananda Ghanamurti, that is what I am. Why should my brothers not feel it? The Buddhist said, you are like Dharma Megha. What is Megha? Megha is a cloud. Heavily laden with moisture, it pours down water to a parched sandy land. You are Dharma Megha. You are like the cloud. You pour the concept of Dharma through sheer compassion for the welfare of your countrymen, of your fellow beings. That is what you will be. And if you want to reach that, serve such a person. This is how the third chapter will come to a conclusion. Let me, dears, for a few minutes, start the third Mundaka. He starts with another example. He has given you an example of a spider, example of human body, example of an earth in the first phase. He has given you the example of burning fire, blazing flame, and the sparks. That was the fourth example. Then he gave you example dhanu and shara, bow and an arrow. Examples are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful teacher. And an example has been defined what is a correct example and what is an incorrect example. Please allow me to deviate. Jasmin arthe buddhi samyam sa drishtanta. Drishtanta is an example. Drishta anta. The end has been seen and we are in unison with our thinking. That is drishta anta. The end of that game is where we agree. Jatra, a point of example. Lokika, that's a person who is trying to find out the truth. Parikshaka, a person who has already found the truth. The Acharya and the Shishya. Shishya and the Acharya. Jatra Lokika Parikshakanam Darshanam Nabhyannate. When we look at it with identical viewpoint, that is the correct example. You know what is black is. I know what is black is. And I am a bit hesitant what is black. You know what is black. You say, look at that chair. You see that color? And look at this table, the white marble table. You see that color? That color is known as black. This color is known as white. We are the same we are of the same conclusion. What is black? What is Jatra, a chosen object, where the students and the teachers' capacity to identify collates together or is in unison. That is the best example. Jatra lokika parishakhanam darshanam nabhyahannate. They don't clash, they unify. And jasminarthe buddhi samyam sadrishtanta. It has been shortened. Jasminarthe, in an object where your and my thinking is same, that's a correct example. Whatever it is. Now he gives you a drishtanta where he is sure your and my thinking will coalesce, will agree, will approve. Dva suparna sajuja sakhaya samane brikshe parisasya jate tayor anna pippalam sadhu atvi anashna nanno avichakashiti. This is an example. Dva suparna, two birds of same plumage, samane brikshe, in the same tree. Think of a huge gum tree or any other huge tree, pippala tree, the bodhi tree. Two birds of the same plumage, say cockatoos, they are the same. One bird is at the top of the branch, enjoying the panoramic view, enjoying the breeze, whistling away with great joy. Drashta, he is an observer, uninvolved. He is in the same tree. The tree is my body. In this body, you are Baddha Jiva. In this body, you will be Mukta Shiva. Jivana Mukti Avastha, in this body. So the body of the human is compared to a huge tree with many branches, many leaves, many fruits, many flowers. Two birds of the same plumage, same body, with 5 sense organs, with 5 active organs, with 5 pranas, and Manabuddhi Hankara, Chaturvanshati Tatta. That's it. The same plumage, the same birds, one at the top of the tree, enjoying the breeze, enjoying the panorama, the landscape, and in the joyous whistling and singing. One bird. The other bird in the lower branches, full of fruits, raw, not so raw, half ripe, fully ripe. And out of sheer inquisitiveness, the second bird is pecking at each of the fruits. It doesn't know. He sees the fruit and he pecks. The raw one is absolutely sour and almost astringent. The half-ripe one, a little sour, little sweet. And the full-ripe one is sweet, tasty. And as soon as he pecks at one, his spontaneous reaction is a bitterness in his face, not so bitter and pleased. Good, bad, indifferent. One bird, he is a drashta. He's just looking around and enjoying himself, the breeze and the panorama of this cosmos. And he's unattached. And the other bird of same plumage, Dva Suparna, They are of the same plumage. Two, Dwa means two. Suparna is beautiful plumage. Sajuja Sakaya. They are in the same tree in different branches. Tayoranna Pippalam Sadhuatti. One of them is tasting the tasty fruits from bitterness to astringent to sourness to excellent taste. Picking at it. And making faces. Automatic reaction. What is that? I look at it, immediately my prarabdha attaches me to the result of my looking, or I hate it automatically. And pleasure and aversion, attachment and aversion is cause of pleasure and pain. And I suffer. Oh, it's painful. Oh, it's enjoyable. Spontaneous. In the same tree, only one has climbed out from the bottom right up to the top, and he is no more interested in pecking. He is interested in enjoying the divine panorama, seeing the divine everywhere, enjoying the divine bliss all the time, and expressing in joy by whistling or chirping. Dwa Suparna Sajuja Sakhaya Samane Brikshe, in the same tree, Parisasya Jati. They are prospering. Tvayoranna, between the two, Tvayoranna Pippalam Swadhuatti. They are pecking at fruits and tasting and reacting. Anna, the other one, Abhichakashiti. He is unattached, uninvolved. He is an eternal witness. This is how the third Mundaka starts, comparing within the human body that same bird of same plumage resides. One is yet to experience and complete his process of experiencing the transitoriness of the world, the painfulness and the joy, so-called transitory painfulness and transitory joyfulness of the world, till he says, "Oh, I'm tired of this unending farce. This dream does please no more. Ever running, never reaching, nor even a distant glimpse of shore." Come from this. Swamiji's statements is a deviation from this. Dwa Suparna Sajuja Sakaya Samane Brikshe Parisasya Jati. They are thriving. Tayoranna, between the two, one of them, Pippalam Sadhuatti. Pippalam, the fruits, which is tasteful, either bitter or astringent or sour or sweet. All that. Varieties. Swadhuatti, he is receiving. And the other one, Avichakashiti. Anashnananno, without pecking at the fruits, the other, he is at the top of it and he is looking at the divine panorama of the cosmos. This is how he starts between a Baddha Purusha, like you and me, and the Mukta Purusha, one who has realized oneness with the divine. And as long as the body is, he is one with the divine. The body fulfills its pranam. He is not attached to the body. So dear, let us prepare ourselves from the excellent study of this Upanishad now. Thank you, dears. Thank you. Dva suparna swajuja shakaya samane vrikshe samanam vriksham parisasya jate tayor anna pippalam sadhuati anashnananno avichakashite. Thank you, dears. Thank you ever so much. We meet again next discourse day. Next day. And carry on the Mundaka Upanishad.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri